That's going to be their decision. There's a lot of other issues in our company. For example, there's something called OER in our business, really big operation evaluation review. We get inspected by our corporate about 4 times a year, unannounced, and usually the most odd hours of the day. Because OER inspections are really important to us. We take a lot of pride. You know, I can tell you right now, my company has 3.98, which is good. It's not great. I think we can do better. I think we drive it above 4. Now we need to decide what's our goal for next year. I'm hoping that my guys would say, Sam, we can do 4. This is how we're going to do it. Again, it's going to have to be, I'm going to give them the parameters of where to think, but they're going to have to come up with what they want to do and how they're going to get there. That's my style of leadership, so it's really non-leadership as much as it is giving them the room to make the decisions. That's my style. I don't tell them what to do. They tell me what they want to do. I just hold them accountable once they tell me what they want to do.
Okay. So it's a hands-off style of leadership.
Absolutely.
To a point.
Well, yes. Yeah. As long as they don't start moving stores around.
Yeah, that would be very strange. You would know where to go.
Right.
Nice where to go. I actually wrote down as a quote, there's a famous sort of leadership guy named Warren Bennis. He talks about leadership crucibles. Those moments we have in our life where something very significant challenged us, and he defines it this way: a trial and a test, a point of deep self-reflection that forced them to question who they were and what mattered to them, required them to examine their values, question their assumptions, and hone their judgment, and invariably, they emerge from the crucible stronger and more sure of themselves and their purpose changed in some fundamental way.
Right.
So is there any event in your life that was significantly challenging that required you to overcome it and you actually came out of it, I don't know, better, but with some new insight?
I'd say the most significant event that ever happened in my life was having kids and watching those kids enter the workforce. To me, that was a wake-up call. That kind of connected these people I'm working with are somebody's kids too. What I want for my employees is exactly what I want for my kids. That to me was kind of a aha moment. How do I want my kids? I mean, that's a conversation I just had with one of my managers, for example, who I got a complaint about him being a little rough around the edges in the store. And the first question I asked was, hey, do you have a sister? He said, yes. I said, would you want your sister treated in this business the way you're treating your employees? And there was a 10, 15 seconds of uncomfortable silence before he said, no, Sam. I said, well, go and change your ways. To me, watching the new generation of Hishmehs come into the business was the moment where I kind of took it back, took another look at the culture and how we treat our employees, how we're developing them, and I became even more passionate about it. I don't know if that answers the question, but no, there was no big fire or anything.
Yeah, so there was no actual event itself, but there was the realization that once you had your own children, it deepened your understanding that there's somebody else's children as well. That's really the most direct way. And as I said earlier, I think the involvement of the business from being in a survival mode to no, the business is not in a survival mode now. It's running and it's running good. That also was the time when I had to look at the bigger picture, the community and the employees and the welfare of everybody that is surrounding this business versus just the short-term profits of the business. So going back to leadership for a second, for me, I see leadership as sort of an ongoing journey, right? You don't just arrive. I'm done. I'm a fully baked leader, and I don't need to do anything else. What do you do to renew yourself and/or continually self-develop who you are as a human being and as a leader?
Sure.
I see them as pretty much the same.
Well, what I've done throughout my life is what you guys are doing right now. Exactly. I've done a lot of this: networking, talking, learning, being involved. I think my best source of information throughout the years has been my peers in the business. I find it hard to believe that today we've become the 5th largest Domino's pizza franchisee in the world. But it feels like it was yesterday when I was the new kid on the block who was calling the guys around me own 2, 3, 4, 5 Domino's pizza stores and ask them questions and ask for advice. It really feels like it was yesterday. Time passes real quick. So you guys are doing what you should be doing. And I congratulate you for this. This is great. This is a step. You could be at a bar having drinks right now.
We're not.
No, I've done exactly what you guys are doing right now throughout my career. I've always looked for advice. I've always been a learner from people. You know, I say smart person learn from their own mistakes, but smarter people learn from other people's mistakes. I was one of the people that learned from other people's mistakes. I've seen a lot of people make a lot of mistakes, and I've learned from them. So is life, really. Trial and error, and again, a lot of networking. Like I said earlier, day one when I took over my first store, the first trip outside of the store was to the local chamber, reaching out and saying, hey, I need help. What do I do now? I got a business, what do I do with it? And they said, go get a business license. I'm like, okay, where do I go for that? And it was that basic, really. It was that basic. I didn't know what to do. Does that answer your question?
I think so. Yeah, and so part of what getting the help you need, I think, comes down to being that friendly person. You said customer service. I mean, it's all customer service, right?
Right.
It's making connections with everybody and making everybody feel better when they're in your presence. And then they're more willing to support you and help
Absolutely. That's half the battle, and that's what I tell my kids all the time. You know, your education is important, your intelligence is important, your personality is 70% of the battle. If you got the personality that people want to work with and work for, you're almost there. That is really key.
It's everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would say so. So with all that said, I know we have to wrap up pretty soon, but professionally, what are you most proud of? I mean, I know that there's the stores, but what are you most proud of?
My people. Honestly, I'm so proud of the fact that I have about 2,000 people that works for me that they're putting their kids through school. Some of them bought homes, some of them got married, some of them they're making a life out of something that started from nothing. And that I'm very proud of. You know, especially when I go to Tucson, and life in Tucson is so much less expensive than it is here. And I have half my managers who own their homes outright. They don't even have a mortgage. This is so cool. This is really cool. So that makes me very proud.
Then feel like they're important. They are important to me because they represent me. So what's a good tool that I could use for that?
Tell it to them the way you told it to me.
Okay.
That's one, and that starts from day one. From the interview process on, let me tell you, when you interview somebody, not only are you interviewing a potential walk to connect with them, tell it to them, face to face, the way you told it to me. Take the time, that's so important. The one-on-one, I don't care how many employees you have, whether you have 10 or 500, the one-on-one, face-to-face, buddy, here's my number, feel free to call me if you have any issues. I need to know because I care. And I know that I'm only going to be successful if you help me become successful. You're there, you're done. And then your actions will back you up. Look for opportunities to show them that they matter. You know, I love when an employee, like I said, when an employee calls in sick. That's my opportunity to tell them, hey buddy, get rested, I hope you feel better, and we'll be fine, don't worry about it. Even though I know we're going to get our butts kicked and we need it. But that's your opportunity. You know, I believe in owning, I hate to put it this way, but I'm going to put it this way. I believe in owning people through the way you treat them. I tell my employees all the time, when a customer calls for a complaint, he's giving me a chance to own it. Because all you got to do is say, you know what, I am so sorry, go ahead and keep the first one, the first pizza. I'm going to make you a new one and send it out to you right away. And I'm going to throw in a 2-liter of Coke with you because we screwed up. When you do this, you own him. You own him forever. Now, the same applies to your employee. When he calls you for a favor, he's giving you a chance to really own his loyalty forever. Sure.
You know, Vadim from the chamber. I think there's a lot of overlap with what you've already said, but acquisition being such a big part of your business, 1 to now 81, what are some of the challenges of integration, especially, you know, those employees may have big part of a different culture, they had a different person that they look up to. What are the challenges of integration into your system?
We have a style of acquisition, and that is on day one, Sam and a couple of the partners have to be on the premises to do nothing but shake hands, meet, wait, introduce, talk about our story. I tell my story every chance I get to my people. It inspires them. I want to hear their story, where they come from. And again, you go back to, you're always going to have the few that don't want to jump on board, and they hate change, and that's okay, it happens. The majority of people, they embrace it, it's fine. So we have our own takeover strategy. It's harder usually when the person that you're buying from is a good operator. That makes it harder. When you're buying it from a poor operator, it's a lot easier. People are happy to see change. So it depends, every situation is different. But our style is to be in there. I bring my best people, they stay in that store for a few days until we understand what's budget anymore. Now, we're in a different world. We're well-recognized name brand. People know Domino's. I don't need to remind people that Domino's is there, we exist. Our service and our people and our product should do all the marketing for us. Word of mouth should do all the marketing for us. We can, and this is why, again, it goes back to the people piece. Now, with different franchises or different brands, if they're not very well known and they need to be established, they got to do some prep. A lot of networking. I'd say networking is very effective. People want to do business with people they know, they trust. So that helps. There is no one silver bullet. There's a lot of little things that has to be done all at the same time.
So now that you're established, how do you, for example, want to grow your business? Because I'm sure that's probably something that comes into mind. Like, we're already established, we're known, we have sales. So how do you keep growing? Do you still focus on marketing, or is it no?
If we're talking about same-store sales, how do we grow them? Not by marketing. We again, in our world, we don't grow same-store sales by marketing. We grow it by taking great care of our customers. Now, there's something called the leaky bucket. I don't know if anybody's heard of it here. You know, there's a bucket that's got holes at the bottom and it's leaking water. Your marketing or your brand recognition or your advertising, we're going to bring in more customers. Your job as a business owner to make those holes at the bottom as small as possible so you're not leaking customers. I don't care how good you are, you're going to leak some, but you want to bring in more customers than you're leaking. If you're leaking more than you're bringing in, you're going to rise.
You have all this compassion for your employees, it's all family, all that. How does corporate Domino's treat you as the purchaser of all their ingredients?
Much better today than they did in the past. It might have something to do with my size. But the truth is, their management style has evolved tremendously over the years. It's no longer a dictatorship where somebody comes up on stage and tells, this is how we're going to do it. They're also engaging us. I'm learning from them. We're learning from each other, kind of. It's a different world that we are in today at a corporate level and the way companies are being run. For the most part, if you hear about Google and Yahoo and Facebook and all of those .com companies up in
Why is giving back to the community so important to you?
Well, you can look at it in many, many ways. One of them, you can look at it as charitable marketing, if you want to look at it from a business point. When you run a business, you kind of run yourself. Let me put it this way. When you run a business, if you're going to give out of the business, you got to think about it as almost as a business transaction, where my goodwill is going to help you, and for that you're going to turn around and you're going to try to help me, hopefully by spreading the word to your membership or whatever. Now, if Sam wants to give at a personal level, because he's a nice guy, he should pull out his personal checkbook and write a check out of it, not the business checkbook. With the business, charitable marketing is a huge thing. It's live, it happens, it produces results, and it works. You don't want to be the business that is not involved and that doesn't give and that only takes. You don't, and especially if you're a name brand, you absolutely don't want to do that. You want to be involved. I want to be a part of Food Share, Boys and Girls Club, and the Make-A-Wish Foundation. That just feels good and it puts your brand in a good position. So to a certain degree it's selfish, but there's nothing wrong with doing something. I've always said, if you're gonna get out of your business, you gotta tell the world about it. Because you owe that to your business. You know, this is a business, it's not a church, it's not a charity, it's a business, it's there to produce profits. If you're gonna give personally, it's your decision. I'd like to give without anybody knowing. But if I'm going to write a check out of Domino's, I want as many people to know about it as possible. Press release.
Yeah. Thank you.
Foundation for a strong company, get as many clients as possible. It's all about building a healthy bottom line and top line for your business. Once you have that, it starts feeding on itself. You try to maybe open another office somewhere else. That's when you start expanding your horizon and thinking, okay, I need to develop my employees and develop my community and maybe take care of my brother and all that good stuff that comes with it. But right now, it's all about get strong. Yes?
How did you go about surviving when you first got that paycheck? You said that you
By doing a lot of the work myself. Let me tell you, day one when we took over the business, I had no money. So one of my brother was fresh in the country. He was here for probably a few months. Him and I were the crew. Where one day he was the manager and I was the driver. And to make it fun, the next day I was the manager and the driver. Literally, that's what we did. We didn't get paid for it. We paid our personal bills out of whatever was left over, if anything, in the business. So we had no payroll, no workers' comp. A lot of the expenses, we had no money. So we were the crew. So to answer is how do I make myself successful the first couple of years? Watch your bottom line very closely. Bring in as many customers as you can. I remember days when we woke up at 7 in the morning, my brother and I, where we'd go out and distribute flyers on people's homes and go back and open up the store at 10 o'clock and pray that the phone would ring. And it didn't ring that much at first. It took time for it to gain traction. It took us probably about a year to really start building some volume. And then one of my competitors shut down, so my business shot up, and it was great. And it continued building on the back. My brothers and I chose to pay it up front. At the time when my buddies were out partying, we were working, going to school. But we're playing now. We could have done it the other way around. We could have played then and we'd be working now. So it was a choice that was made. Yes?
What's your relationship mentally with money? Like when you were first starting out and you were saying that you guys were broke and you were really struggling and you weren't making a profit. But during that time, what was in your mind? What was your relationship with money? Do you know what I mean?
It wasn't really about the money as much as it is about the freedom that it brings. Let me tell you, the goal was never ever to own 81 stores. The goal was one day was to be a store manager. And then the goal was to one day own a store. I thought I'd be set, I'd be done. And then when I got my first store, the goal was to have two. So I could have one and my brother could have one and I don't have to deal with them every day. And they kept moving and coming, the rest of the family. So the goal was to have 4 of them so I can hire one guy to run them and I don't have to work as hard. And then from 4, the goal was to have maybe 10 of them so I can hire a director of operations so I don't have to deal with that one guy that's running the 4. And it continued from there. Today, the goal is to hit 100. I really like to hit 100. It just doesn't stop, and it's not about the money.
Some people just interview really well, but when it comes down to it, it's like, what the heck? It's like they sold me on them, and then I'm stuck holding the bag. What other characteristics or do you look for in somebody when you're hiring them? Or is there any specific questions that you ask them maybe?
It's funny you say that because because I run through the same problem you run through. But honestly, I look for the eye contact, for the personality, how comfortable are they. I call references, that's really important. His last boss would tell you more than he should very often. You know, legally speaking, we can't say too much when somebody calls for an interview. You'd be surprised how much people are willing to say, especially if they don't